Continuing on with the concept and the topic of the core, and I really want to emphasize that a lot of the core muscles are deep muscles. And these are muscles that you don't necessarily feel. They're deeper, hence the sensations, the nerves that you can pick up on in terms of feeling don't really fire to the point of consciousness. It's more unconscious, I should say. And that doesn't mean you necessarily won't feel that you worked them in some cases. More than often, you don't feel them in that actual session that you're working them. You'll more than likely feel them the day after. And that's because they worked, but you weren't sensing that they were working at that point. Now, the functions of the tight abs, the tight core, the deep abdominals, the deep transverse, all these different muscles that make up the core. Of course, I've mentioned it briefly before, but it's breathing, bracing, being upright, resisting rotation, resisting extension, creating flexion. I'm here to argue that of all of those, you want to really avoid flexion as much as possible, because most of our day we're actually already flexed forward. You know, on their phones, on a computer, driving, whatever it is, usually you're flexed forward. Nothing wrong with that, but I think the first thing you want to do is start to get taller first. So get on this anti-extension, create that ab in lower back, get stronger in the back, posterior chain as well, and then start attacking the abs and that sort of thing. Of course, we talked about body fat percentage. We know really not going to try to see a difference in your abs until later, but I would start to focus on the anti-rotation, anti-extension, staying tall, all this kind of stuff, and proper bracing before we get into the flexion type stuff. Now, I want to give you a quick example. Bracing, how it feels, what it should seem like, and it's very intertwined with breathing. So what I want you to do, put your hands on your sides, just above your iliac crest, your hip bones here, and you want to breathe, exhale all the air out of your lungs. So just when you think you've got all the air out, blow some more air out. You should feel as you exhale, the further you get into that exhalation, the more empty you're getting your lungs. You should almost feel these muscles in your core turn on. You should feel the sensation of them pushing to try to get that air out. That is when you're turned on a lot of those core muscles. That's the bracing. So that's the tension I want you to start to be able to build consciously. I want you to be able to maintain that tension after you've exhaled all the way, and then start to recruit it on your own just by thinking about it. And that's what I want you to carry into a lot of these exercises when you're doing them. So I want you to brace so that you are properly stabilized when you're doing these exercises. The amount of stability, the amount of bracing you're doing is going to vary from exercise to exercise, because some of them you want to get some movement in there. You don't want to be 100% braced, but you'll start to get a sense of how to turn that up like a volume knob and get the right amount of tension. It'll become second nature, but for now, you got to practice your bracing. Now, like I said, a lot of the stuff that you do for the inner core and the deep core and just all the core functions, you're not necessarily going to feel it today. You're more than likely going to feel it tomorrow. So don't be in a workout and be working on core and say, oh, I don't feel like I'm working. And then contrast that to maybe some ab crunch thing where you do 100 ab crunches and you feel that. You don't necessarily need to. There's no real translation, because even if you feel it, doesn't mean you're going to see any difference. And I think that's the expectation a lot of people have, is like, I'm doing these ab exercises, flexion stuff, and then a few weeks time I should start seeing my abs more. Again, under the circumstances, unless you're low body fat, you're not going to see much of a difference at all, if anything. And then again, that's a very small layer of muscle. You actually want to build the inside from the inside out. And once you do that, then it's automatically going to happen on its own, because you have that stability, the foundation underneath it. Then the abs above it start to get a little bit more stronger. And then as your body fat gets down, you get leaner. You're going to start seeing it automatically. So try not to equate doing a lot of ab crunches and feeling the ab exercises as it making a difference for your core and your ab visually, because 9 times out of 10, unless your body fat, again, as I said, is in the right area, it's actually not making much of a difference at all, and your time is better spent doing something to build the stability of your core, build your strong core, do some other exercise, than to waste a lot of time doing like 10 million crunches.